Yes. Here we are once again, at the beginning of season 16, if you can believe that. It is Wednesday at noon Eastern time, which of course means it's time for the High Noon Hemp Show. We found in many different places, of course, video either live or on demand. You go to Facebook, that's the Temptations Beach Facebook page, or the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel, or at Temptations on Twitter. If you don't want to see anything, you just want to hear us and the awesomeness that ensues, you can do that as well. Google Play, iHeartRadio, and Podbean. Just search the High Noon Hemp Show and you will find us. I am Stoner Jesus. He is Beach, high above the Temptations in Sharonville, Ohio, the hemp quarters beach. How are things on this rainy day in Cincinnati and the world of Temptations?
Having to do a lot of stretching. I wasn't dancing there, folks. I was stretching. I wasn't showing off my big, huge muscles either. I was dancing. Excited about today's show because we're going to be talking a lot about some construction. I love construction, hemp construction. But yeah, it is quite the muggy day out. It's a good day to be inside doing the High Noon Hemp Show.
That's right.
It's true. I am high above the Sharonville location in the Planet Everywhere studios for this week's High Noon Hemp Show, as most weeks High Noon Hemp Show as it is. Yes, welcome season 16. We made it. I don't know what that really means, all in all. And of course, we only do 12 episodes a season. I don't know what that means either, but we're jamming them in there, folks. Episode 181. Season 1, season 16, episode 1 of the High Noon Hemp Show. It's true. And of course, the newest disclaimer to the show that I've added is the FDA has not evaluated the show for safety or efficacy. Just so you know. Hi. Welcome to the show. Hi indeed. Hi indeed. All right, well, let's jump right into it. Let's get going with the product spotlight so we can get on to all the fun news. That's for sure. This first one, again, quite popular, the Delta 8. This is actually Delta 8 flower. And so there's a sativa indica hybrid, and then, of course, the moon rocks, which are like super fun from my understanding. People really enjoy that. And so, what they're doing there is they're taking CBD or CBG flower and then adding the Delta 8 to it. That's how that works. And then something, I haven't shown in a while, I don't think, but our Hemptations. Now this is CBD, the Suver Haze and the Special Sauce, those are CBD. And then we also have our CBG, the white over there, CBG as well. Again, we're finding we can put, enough CBD or CBG breeding wise into the flower to get the therapeutic benefits that people want to get out of the flower, or possibly they're trying to quit smoking. More on that later. In the news, then we have soap, because soap is still so relevant in this world. I think that, everybody's gonna have to stay on the washing their hands and using more soap idea, because this COVID stuff's not going away. It's something we're gonna live with the rest of our lives. So we might as well just be smart about it. Just like the flu and all that stuff. To avoid all that, and hygiene is a part of it. There's no doubt about it. So we got these are handmade, so to speak, soaps. And 3 different, you got the charcoal, just the pure Castile, and then a lavender. Pretty simple too, which is what we like in our soaps. That's the Anali soaps. And then the last one from our shelves, speaking of COVID not going away, we still have a little handful of masks. So, I have seen recently or heard recently, even though I don't think anyone is going to pay attention to them, that they are saying that it is wise to at least mask up in indoors in highly populated places. And again, now we're always, we're going to be worried about all the new strains, just like the flu, folks. It's just like the flu. one year it's this flu, the next year it's this flu. Now it's going to be like, oh, what COVID is going around right now? Is it Omicron? Is it Delta? Who knows? But I feel like the way it's going to work. And again, because of the uptick in the newer ones, they are, I believe, suggesting once again that if you're going to be inside in a heavily populated area, it might be wise to mask up. It just might be a smart idea. I try not to still go out in public too much, but not that I care because I've been vaccinated. I've had it. I feel if I get it again, we may have just had it again, and I don't think I had hardly any side effects from it. And so, but it's a good idea to weigh on the side of caution, as they say. So, there you have it. From the store. The one from my door is one of my favorite tables that we made here at the what I call the wood shop, Hempwood. I'm sorry, the Hempwood shop, and you can spell that WOULD, Hempwood, wood. But that is Hempwood as well. And then of course the top piece is one of my favorite images, which is the hemp piece image, and that was made, and I bought that from someone for me. Got that, so that's just kind of a fun little add-on. You can see the hemp leaf grip tape on the floor there, which I'm also a big fan of. But this tabletop's kind of cool because it comes off, and it's actually velcroed, like it goes down and then kind of velcroed on the top of it inside, and then there's like a secret shelf, like right up in the middle of there, where you can store stuff and no one would know, even though it's not a secret anymore. I don't keep anything in there, so if you're invited to a party, don't try to take the tabletop off, see what's hiding. But super cool little hemp round table. So the hemp round table with the secret stash in the inside. I like my hidden stuff. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that, indeed. So there you have it. 4 from the store, 1 from my door on the High Noon Hemp Show. Now, for the most.
If you watch every week, then I ask Beach a very important question every week. If you're new to the show, well, now you're going to learn about that very important question. It's where fashion and hemp collide. Because as you know, Beach has a quite extensive hemp clothing collection. We show it off every week here on the show. And we do it right when I ask Beach, what are you wearing, Beach?
Quite extensive is like an understatement. Feel like Can someone have too much hemp clothes? No, it's not possible.
No.
But if you're wondering, folks, today, what my particular head-to-toe hemp outfit is, what are you wearing, Beach? Here it is. On the lid is actually, this is glow in the dark, and it's kind of fun because I'm gonna show you. Well, I'll show you when we're done. But this hat actually has a little glow in the dark peace leaf on the back of it. Unfortunately, it's not dark enough in here where you can really see that I'm glowing on the head, but it's true. One day I'm going to have to wear my glow-in-the-dark hat and glow-in-the-dark shirt, and then take the picture with the above picture with me, like with the light off.
Yeah,
coming soon. The Hemp Hoodlam T-shirt with the Hemptations University printed right here at Planet Everywhere as well. I've got these are some of my favorite drawstring adjustable, so to speak, shorts. They're made by Lackhays, and I don't know much about the company other than I love these shorts. And of course, if you look in my pocket there, making a return, missed last week for the first time in a long time, is my Green Springs Technology pen. Underneath, I am wearing some good old-fashioned Satori boxers, and my socks are, again, some of my favorite, the Hemp Traders No-Show socks. And bringing it all together, making me move, is a pair of Adidas shell toes. Not as old as the classic super modified hemp Adidas shell toes that I have of, but these are nice. I'm starting to see just a little bit of wear up in the front in the canvas. And so I've had these just long enough, 10, 15 years, that they're starting to show some wear. Just 10 or 15 years, folks. I mean, that's all. It's not like I wear them every day, too. But these, I will say that I do wear. These are one of my more worn Adidas, I think, because they match my black and natural printed stuff so well. So there you have it, folks. What are you wearing, Beach? Now you know here on the High Noon Hemp Show. So here, I'll show you. Just show you how much I really do like it. It's true. There it is. Bim, bam, boom. And of course, if I could turn my lights off, I can't reach. I can't reach from here to turn my lights off. But if I could, you would see the glowing of the hat. All right, let's get on with this fun day of news. This first one, 10 principles for designing cool spaces for hot weather. Now, I have shown this flat house. This is the interior of the flat house. When the flat house was being built, I remember showing pictures of this. They're using this as an example of, and of course, the flat house it's in Cambridge, and it is a zero carbon home. But what the article was really talking about was the exposed thermal mass hempcrete. And again, the hempcrete is a highly insulating material. And so it helps keep it cool if it's cool inside. It helps keeps it warm if it's warm inside. It also provides that much sought after thermal mass, as they say, without the huge upfront carbon costs. And of course, hemp at its least is carbon neutral. Hemp at its best is carbon negative, and so, or carbon positive. I think you want to be, I forget, but it's good in a good way. It takes in more carbon than it eventually releases, which is good for us. How that works now, because my understanding, again, with regular concrete, you have a huge carbon footprint up front. Now, concrete is good. It's a good insulator. It's a good building material. Not, it has done wonders for the housing. Excuse me, of humans. But we need to move on to more sustainable crete materials, and hemp is one of them, as you already know if you watch the show on any regular basis. The other thing about hemp is it is vapor permeable, and it absorbs and releases moisture depending on the environment. So it's going to suck in the moisture. And of course, hemp or concrete kind of does that too. If it's dry, concrete's dry. If it's wet, but this actually releases and like breathes the moisture out if it needs it, which again is, just more and more things that we're looking for to have environmentally sustainable building materials, as well as, the health benefits, or the human benefits of using the hempcrete alone is it's huge, and we're getting more and more information on that the more and more that we actually use it to build with. I got to get a drink, Mike. I got something in my throat. It's probably that COVID I was talking about. They say the newest one causes a tickle. I talked about it. Now I got it.
Oh my.
So there's our first example of some, of course, and I talk about hempcrete a lot. I love to. I'll show a hempcrete project on every episode if I can find one, or when it's done, because it's one of the hemp things that we need to be doing more and more every day. No doubt about it. Here's something fun for all you keto people. If you're a keto, now the article was entitled "The Ingredient That Will Change Your Keto-Friendly Oatmeal," or what they call notemeal, because it doesn't actually have, you can't eat oats. Can't eat oats if you're keto, just so you know. So they call it notemeal. So they're looking for oatmeal substitutes, more or less. Basically, they say just take your hulled seed, soak it in water, just like you would oats, possibly overnight if you want, stirring it occasionally so that it absorbs the water and gets soft evenly. and then top it with whatever you like topping your oatmeal with. And so, I might even be. I like oatmeal. I usually actually have a bowl of oatmeal at night instead of in the morning. Um, on occasion, it's supposed to lower cholesterol, which I have an issue with, and whatnot. Finding organic oats is the goal once again, because I understand that I think a lot of oats these days are the old GMO. You have to be careful. So you want to go with that organic one way or another. But keto is still big as a diet. I always say don't be on a diet, just have a good diet. Incorporate those things. But if you are on a keto diet, again, hemp is another thing that nutritionally, um, provides a lot of things that you may be missing out on because of how restricted the keto diet is on some things. You can go crazy on some things, but you can't on others. That's way a lot of diets work. As they take the stuff out that makes you fat. So, um, so that's just knowing what makes you fat and don't eat it. That's my opinion on it. Or what makes you unhealthy, don't eat it. Most diets are, but a lot of diets don't actually focus on health as much as they focus on weight loss. And that's why a lot of diets don't work in the long run, because you take the weight off and then you try to, you want to go back to eating stuff and whatnot. So you got to be careful. I've always said that, don't be on a diet, just have a good diet. Add hemp where you can, and know that it is one of the best foods that you could substitute or use no matter what. If you're trying to stay away from meat, it's great for that because of the protein. It's got the essential fatty acids, omega-6, omega-3s, minerals, vitamins, all kinds of magnesium, potassium, all kinds of good stuff that the body needs. One way or another. And recently I found out that maybe it has a little bit of calcium even, which I've got to look into it. Now that I said it again, I didn't do the research to find out if there's actually any calcium in hemp hearts or hemp seed. If you know, tell me. Let me know. That's the one thing someone had mentioned, or I had mentioned in an article or something recently, and need to look into one way or another. Because some of you may know I am not dairy milk friendly as well. Much rather have a oat milk, a hemp milk, coconut milk, as opposed to dairy milk. Adult cows don't drink milk. Why would humans? That thing, the adult cow is carrying around 1,000 pounds on its bones, and it's plenty strong not drinking milk. Just so you know, folks. And there is a correlation or causation between drinking milk and weak bones and osteoporosis. Do the research. It's a medical proven fact. All right. All right. Now, this is probably one of the coolest, excuse me, man, construction projects that I have seen so far. Because domain architects, now what they're doing is they're renting these old schools. There should be a picture of this. They're renting these old schools, and they're taking them down to basically the frames, and they're going to use 5 miles worth of hemp fiber to make the roofs and the walls. And so this is like the first layer, and then they're going to weave the hemp through, much like you would do if you look over on the other side. You see that thatch roof, but they're going to basically weave the roof and walls of all hemp fiber. Now this is, I can't believe I'm now. And I don't remember where this is actually. I can't believe I didn't make a note of where this is, but they're going to make a high-end boutique hotel. And all based on, environmentally friendly ideas. I'm sorry, 40 miles. I said 5 miles. 40 miles of hemp rope to wrap the existing buildings. And again, this is another zero carbon construction movement, so to speak. And I know there were multiple buildings and frames or whatever. But we haven't seen this. I have not seen this done anywhere else on such a scale. To be honest with you, and so it's great to see that they have the material. There it is, right there. They're working with this hemp that's being grown wherever they are, and so once again, promoting the growth of hemp fiber is an unbelievable sustainable idea. And now you can see that you can build with it, build a boutique hotel, no less. I will try to find out exactly where that is. I know it is not in the United States. It's not in the United States, and I feel like it's got to be somewhere, definitely like in the southern parallel, maybe, where it's warmer or drier on a regular basis. I think that eventually that woven material would probably remove water or just soak it in and then take it to the ground through the walls, even maybe. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. And then possibly they're going to thatch on top of it like they did the building across the way, or the building across the way had a thatch roof. I don't know if that was still an existing building, but I don't know if they're going to thatch over the top of the hemp as well. But no wood. They're using the existing frame, so they don't have to put a wood roof on. They don't have to use any more wood framing for the walls. I mean, again, it's just what an amazing idea to take a structure that already existed that was pretty plain and putting a roof and walls on it in a hugely environmental beneficial way than any other way, I think, that you could do it. So brilliant domain architects, good work.
According to Google, it is in Beijing.
Beijing. I didn't know that. I remember now. You are correct. It's right outside of Beijing. So there you have it, folks. If you're visiting Beijing, get a room at the. And I don't know. They didn't actually have a name. Now that I remember, I don't actually think they had a name for this hotel yet. Because they just referred to it as a boutique hotel. Maybe they're going to wait to actually make sure it gets done and then open it up with a name. I don't know. So we'll try to keep our eyes out for opening when you can rent a room in this unique, hugely unique hemp structure, without a doubt. Another article, Concrete Jungles, 6 cement alternatives that can reduce its impact in cities. And they think the hemp was like number 3 out of the 6. And this was interesting because, I hadn't really seen, and I do know that hempcrete is lighter than concrete. I carry, usually when I set up my little hemp museum or display, I have a piece of hempcrete on it, and people always pick it up and they're like, man, it's lighter than I expected it to be. Now, this article, according to this article, hemp blocks or hempcrete, one way or another, is 8 times lighter than concrete, which to me just seems like a lot. And again, I feel like, and again, they do mention that it can't be used for structural purposes, which is really like foundations right now. I think any maybe hugely weight-bearing areas. But when you think about it, if you build your walls with hemp blocks that are 8 times less than concrete, then you don't have to worry. That concrete's not taking as much. So even if you have to use a concrete floor, I think that it will last longer because it doesn't have as much weight on it as your traditional home may, using hempcrete or whatnot. And so they also mentioned the fact that it is thermoacoustic insulation, which means it provides a quieter environment for you. And so, I think a lot of people are looking for that in their dwellings. don't want to hear, anything going on outside. For the most part, if you can avoid it. And these days, there's no construction. I don't care where you're building anywhere. Nobody builds thick walls anymore.
Yeah.
It's just that's what it's become. So we can start using hempcrete and sustainable, lighter, and also quieter and healthier. Just so you know, again, it's antibacterial, antimicrobial. Uh, the house in Asheville, the first hemp house in the United States, over 20 years old now, roughly, I believe, was built because the parents did the research. They had a highly sensitive child. The parents did the research, and then the hempcrete was the best material to use to make an environment free of things that affected their child. So it just makes more sense that we should do the same thing for ourselves every day. Again, we should be building hempcrete houses with solar panel roofs. That's what we should be doing everywhere we can, to be honest with you. Let's see here. This is kind of fun. Top 5 reasons you need CBD. And of course, the top 3 are, in fact, the reasons that the majority of our customers come for CBD. So, number 1, CBD has been researched for stress and anxiety. And again, anxiety, definitely one of the main reasons our customers use CBD. CBD has been researched for sleep. Another huge reason that a lot of our customers use CBD is for sleep. I use CBD for sleep on occasion, and it is a much sounder sleep. I think the worst thing about using CBD for sleep is sometimes you just don't your sleep is so good that you just don't even want to get out of bed, one way or another. And then the third is research for inflammation and pain. And of course, it's really the inflammation. Majority of pains are caused by inflammation, from my understanding. Again, I'm not giving any medical advice, but I will say, again, a lot of our customers use CBD for inflammation that causes pain. Just recently, I had dropped something on my toe and it was all swollen up, and I was using CBD to help work through that, and on my back that on occasion I have a reoccurring injury, depending on the weather or how I sleep, sometimes decides to rear its ugly little head, and so I use CBD on my back, and again, that I personally will say it's incredible. Again, I think the one thing that was the one time that I remember using it that, again, just blown away at how effective it was, is one of the first times I started golfing again years ago. It was years ago, and I had CBD cream in my bag, thankfully, but my forearm, like halfway through 9 holes, my forearm just started burning. I mean, it was kind of crazy. No other time playing golf did that happen, I guess, is just what it was. Then I put some happiness cream, which is what we sell, on it, and it was instant. It was instant how quickly it went away. And again, even on my back, when I use it, I notice it. I think that most people that do use it notice it. I think that's why our happiness cream is one of our biggest sellers, to be honest with you. Is because it flat out helps a lot of our customers get relief where they need it and want it, without using pharmaceuticals, opiates, whatever it may be, even over the counter stuff. Instead of having to take Tylenol for pain or Advil for pain, this is an over the counter product that that's the topical. And of course, you can use the CBD internally. When you use it sublingually, it goes right in, basically right into the blood system. bodies have a cannabinoid receptor system. It's a medical fact. Our brain is wired to take in cannabinoids and do with them what it feels like the body needs. And so it's, all those things are triggers, and it's all connected all the way down to our toes. We have this endocannabinoid system. And so that's how the brain knows when it takes the CBD or any of the cannabinoids in, takes them in, says, where does it need it, sends it out. And that's how that relief works. That's a medical fact. You have the CB1 receptors, CB2 receptors, part of the endocannabinoid receptor system that is connected to our brain and runs throughout our bodies. I don't understand how anyone can argue therapeutic use of cannabis. The brain is literally wired to do this. And again, that's why, those three reasons, top three reasons why people come into Hemptations, and that's why there's research being done for this. So we can stop being called snake oil salesmen and CBD doesn't work and CBD doesn't do that. They're just blah, 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 trying to say something. It's absolutely not true. It's 100% not true. For the record, number 4 is it doesn't get you high. There are really no side effects in using CBD. And number 5 is it is easy to find. And it's true. It is easy to find. That being said, we don't normally recommend going to your local gas station or video store. Not that those exist anymore, but that was a huge thing. Right before the video store, when the last video store in the country went out of business, they became a CBD. They tried to save themselves by becoming a CBD seller. And I don't know if it worked or not. I think the video part went away, but they might still be open in their locations that started selling CBD. It's hard to say. It is everywhere online. If you're going to buy online, Hemptations.com is a great place to start. But just go to a website and give it a feel. Look through it. Check out their history. Find out if they have a COA. We get COAs with all our products, and find out that they have it. That their product's been tested, and it is what it is, and that you're going to get the CBD that you're going to get. Don't buy Clint Eastwood's CBD gummies because Clint Eastwood doesn't endorse CBD gummies. They just use his image. You got to be careful because there's a lot of famous people endorsing CBD, but there's also these scammers that are still out there using famous people's images to sell their, and I'm pretty sure don't contain any CBD gummies. And so, buyer beware for sure. It's still a kind of I think it's getting worked out more and more. But know where you're getting your CBD. That's for sure. It's just a smarter way to do it. No matter what you're buying, especially something you're going to use internally or externally, to try to achieve homeostasis or for therapeutic use. You want to know that these people are, been around for a while at this point, or are actually endorsed by the celebrity that they say that they are, or the athlete. I would definitely, take an athlete's word used for it when it comes to the therapeutic, pain or inflammation or whatnot. If it's working for them, and it's working for, it all started with the MMA fighters and whatnot using CBD for recovery. And now it's all the way out to Major League Baseball is now allowing CBD sponsorships, which just means that, they believe in, they don't think CBD is a scam. Mm-hmm. NASCAR is allowing CBD. Of course, the one car that's in NASCAR that's sponsored is actually a Delta 8 company. But there is a Delta 8 NASCAR out there. And so, we're going to see the NFL and um, the NFL and the NBA, and I don't think the NBA is against CBD use. I think a lot of NBA players use CBD. Um, you know, and so, and I feel like the football players, again, I don't know why they aren't using CBD, because that's the most rugged on the body sport ever. I mean, they're in pain all the time. I feel like, and could use CBD on a daily basis, without a doubt. And of course, use it topically, never makes it into the bloodstream, so you don't ever have to worry about that 0.2% THC. If you're using the tincture, then you maybe that full spectrum, depending on how much. Again, you got to consume a lot of um, full spectrum CBD product to test positive for THC. We hear about it every once in a while, but to be honest with you, it just doesn't happen because you have to, I think the one study that I saw, the minimum amount of full spectrum CBD that you'd have to take daily to test positive might be like 3,000 to 5,000 milligrams,
Wow.
which is just an insane amount of CBD. Now, I think if you're taking, and I say this, and I've always said this, if you're taking 3,000 to 5,000 milligrams of CBD, I doubt you're worried about a drug test because you're dealing with, something that's a lot severe than worrying about failing a drug test. And, depending on what you're doing, you may, want to look to real THC. But no, I mean, there are probably some people that need that and that could help benefit them. But that's a huge amount of CBD to take in one day. And that you'd have to do that every day. And then I still would find it hard to believe that would put enough THC in your system to fail you. I would love to see some science. Someone had to take 10,000 milligrams of full spectrum CBD every day to fail a drug test. I really feel like I'd love to know what those numbers really are. According to the government, any amount of full spectrum CBD will make you fail a drug test. So therefore, the military is not allowed to use it. Most police aren't allowed to use it. It's, I feel like police meet it more than anybody. I would love to know that the entire CPD here in Cincinnati was using CBD on a regular basis. Because, there's a lot of stress. I'm not doubting the amount of stress, especially in a large city, that is caused on police officers. And I think a lot of it's undue stress because they put it on themselves to look at everyone as a criminal and to always be looking at everyone as a criminal, and everyone's always out to get them. I don't want that job, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I can't see how keeping CBD from them is a logical move. It's not. I mean, I feel like a little squirt of CBD, just a little squirt of CBD before every human encounter that a police officer has may make the world a much better place. Honestly, maybe if they had just a little bit of CBD, they wouldn't choke people out to death.
Yeah.
They wouldn't use tactics that were not needed. Maybe they'd be a little bit clearer headed and ready to respond even more logically. It should be a requirement, not something that they have to stay away from. And that is just my personal opinion, folks. Just my personal opinion, but I think it's the truth. I can't see how it couldn't help. And I can see the military. The same reason that the military doesn't want their soldiers using THC. They don't want them using CBD because then guess what? That's going to make them calm and less likely to perform well on the battlefield. And that's one of the issues. That's why they have no problem with alcohol. Alcohol doesn't take away your inhibitions to kill people.
Yeah.
I think it adds to them, or maybe it's the opposite. You want the inhibitions. Okay. Seems like every other time somebody kills somebody, there's alcohol involved.
Mhm.
Not pot normally, not THC, not CBD for sure. Like I think the day somebody shoots somebody on CBD is going to be like the weirdest day in human times. I truly believe that. Yes, I do. Article entitled 18 of the Best Sustainable Materials for Building. Number 7, green concrete blocks. Mentioning hemp, of course, in hempcrete. Hempcrete's it's climbing its way up the construction ladder, folks. If you're in the construction business, get on board or get out of the way. I truly believe that. Again, it's the same thing with hemp fiber. Stop using cotton and use hemp. Just do it. Construction, use hempcrete where you can. Why not? It's so much better. Again, you're only doing your customers a favor by providing them a better, cleaner, sustainable surroundings. Whether they care or they don't care.
Yeah.
You know, someone's going to complain that their house is sustainable. Someone going to complain that their house is a cleaner, safer environment. I can't imagine why. But such is the state of things too. We still don't believe in global warming in the United States. It's not a fact that it's like they made it up to punish people. I mean, it's scientific proof that we're warming up, and we should probably do something about it. Right, wrong, or different. Again, this is very interesting because I've always promoted this idea, but 2 separate studies found that roughly 40% of tobacco users significantly reduced their tobacco use by smoking hempettes. And of course, a hempette, which we sell, is just CBD flower, rolled up into what looks like a cigarette. That's why we call them hempettes, but it's a filtered, smokable, so to speak. And I think that, I've always believed, and again, I'm not giving any medical advice, but because we know that it, as I mentioned earlier, works with stress, anxiety, and things like that. If you don't have tobacco, it makes you anxious. It gives you stress. Your brain is so addicted, and this is medical fact, is tobacco is the most addictive substance on the planet. Okay, 3 out of 4 people are addicted to tobacco after first use. One time, boom, you're done. It almost doubles the addiction rate of heroin, just so you know. Okay, and that's because our brain is wired, man. Wired. Talk about a brain wired for something. It loves the effects of nicotine. And that's why there are so many people that still use tobacco. I am a reformed tobacco smoker. I used tobacco, whether it was dip and cigarettes, in maybe 10 years. I dipped for quite a while, high school, early in college. Never thought I'd become a smoker. Then all of a sudden I was smoking. And I probably only smoked cigarettes for 5 years or so. Used the American Spirits, the added free. We were one of the first stores, if not the first store in Cincinnati, to sell American Spirits. I don't think we were the first, but we were one of the first to actually sell American Spirit cigarettes in Cincinnati. And one of the reasons is because we came across them, and me and my original partner were both smokers of the original tobacco. I didn't want to be, especially at the point when I quit. I didn't want to smoke tobacco anymore. That's for sure. But I do see how a CBD hempette, again, not only are you're that hand to mouth thing that's part of the process of the brain being addicted to nicotine, you're still getting that. You're kind of fooling the brain into believing it's getting the nicotine, maybe not really. But I think that because of the CBD itself would make it easier on the brain when it knows it's not getting the nicotine. And so, I think anything that's effective on 40% of tobacco smokers to get them to quit has to be promoted.
Okay.
If it was only 10%, 20%, maybe that's not as big of a deal, but 40%, that's huge. That's a lot of tobacco smokers that can get rid of it, and eventually you lose that desire um, to smoke the hempettes, or you will get more therapeutic value out of them without the destruction of the body. There's so far there is no medical proof that smoking cannabis in any form causes lung cancer. Okay. Again, I think the reason it's not even and that's why I think obviously the chemical-free tobacco is the way to go. It's the chemicals, and the tobacco companies add over 500 chemicals to the tobacco from the time that it's planted to the time you smoke it. Okay, 17 of those, and I'm going off of a list, that I researched 20 years ago or so. I don't know how much of it's true. I don't hear of them really removing or bragging about them removing these items, but 17 of those chemicals were known carcinogens, known to cause cancer. Sprayed on the tobacco, they blame the tobacco for the cancer. Again, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous. It's like they tell me I can't use my THC for health benefits or moral reasons or whatever. Not addictive, but it's perfectly fine to walk into any gas station, any store, and buy a pack of cigarettes made from tobacco, the most addictive substance on the planet. Causes more deaths. I mean, as far as like specifically saying you smoke cigarettes, a choice you made, you got lung cancer. They know this. And they still try to tell us what we can and can't do in our own homes, and they allow the average human being to buy this product. That is terrible. It's a burden on the health of the humans. It's a burden on the health system, period. And yet, still goes on every day. Somewhere they're going to start selling CBD hempettes, and someone's going to be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they're selling those in this store right beside this tobacco." Yeah. So, the research doesn't surprise me. We're going to see more and more of this. I've always thought that it was a great idea, much like a vape pen. I think is a better way if you're going to get nicotine than actually buying most over-the-counter cigarettes, most of them. So, just more proof that CBD or cannabis flower, can benefit and be used therapeutically, honestly. A fun article on aprons found this white bark. And I have some hemp aprons. I don't know who, mine are, I think I have an Ecolution hemp apron back from the day, maybe some others. But what I think is interesting is because the whole article is kind of based on clothing that's relative to food. And the author of the article says, I don't think there's any more of a article of clothing than an apron, fashion-wise, so to speak, that works with food. And, she also went on to say that, in this I quote, "Because I've been trying to make clothing decisions that reflect my food values," she ordered a hemp apron. And again, I totally get it. I mean, if your food uh, desires are clean food and healthy food and the right foods that giving you the nutrition that your body needs and not the stuff you don't need. Um, Once again, hemp as a fiber does the same thing. Cotton requires the largest amount of chemicals and water to be used to process and make a cotton t-shirt or cotton clothing or a cotton apron. The largest amount of chemicals. Then you're putting this apron on and had all these chemicals to grow this fiber and you're cooking your food. That doesn't seem logical. And so, I think, it's kind of a fun to see because this is, how I look at it too. Hemp is great for us internally. It's great for us externally, whether it's the shampoos and lotions that we may use or the clothing that we may use. Because again, it's so much cleaner and lacks all those chemicals that the largest producer, so I should say fabric, uses to make the majority of clothing products, the majority of household goods, fabric-wise, are made out of the worst fiber for the planet and inferior 4 to 6 times weaker than industrial hemp fiber. And so, there's the scam of cotton. Well, we know this cotton t-shirt's going to wear out real soon. Super unhealthy for the planet, so you'll have to come back and buy more. So that's it's and really we're in a what else you gonna do kind of situation, because 90% of the places you go to shop only have an a cotton t-shirt to offer you, not even an organic t-shirt to offer you, just and so that's why once again we have to demand more hemp fabric. Next time you need clothing, find hemp clothing, buy hemp clothing online or whatever, and support that, because it's not only good for you, good for the planet, it's good for everybody. And we need the times to shift. We need the majority of the fiber being used in the world to be hemp fiber. And then once again, the planet will be so much healthier and no one will really notice, no one will really care, but it'll be done. It'll just happen. Just like using all the chemicals we're using now to destroy the planet. And no one's paying attention to that. Mm-hmm. When we talk about global warming and we talk about all this chemical runoff into the waterways, herbicides, pesticides, runoff into you never hear them ever mention cotton. Ever. Do you hear that? They don't, because that's the hold that cotton has on all of us worldwide, everyone. And it's terrible. It's a terrible product. Terrible idea. Unless it's organic cotton, no one's doing anybody any favors, honestly, other than it's cheap. It's cheap. Mm-hmm. But if we grew as much, even half as much hemp as we do cotton, it would be just as cheap.
Yeah.
And that's just all we need to do is just start replacing the cotton fields with hemp fields. Not only will we won't need the chemicals to spray on it anymore, but because industrial hemp is what we call a phytoremediator, what that means is it actually pulls out all the bad stuff from the ground. We've seen it planted near nuclear waste sites, atomic waste sites, and removing that bad stuff. Now, the studies need to see where does that go? Does it go into the fiber? Because of course I don't want a t-shirt made out of hemp that cleaned up a waste site, if that's the case. Mm. Now, if it doesn't transfer into the fiber, then I'll wear that all day long. I'll be proud to say this hemp shirt soaked up some bad chemicals that some blah blah bad guy, bad person left in the soil whenever. And so once again, the ability of hemp to remove chemicals, bad stuff from the soil, yet is just another reason, because then it's like a double positive. Not only are we not using the chemicals on the cotton anymore, but we're actually taking out all the chemicals that all the years of growing cotton there put into there. Um, that's why we need to use hemp fiber for everything. All right, really fun article. The last article I have here is really fun. I think I got a picture of this person. Um, so this is the president of a company called Hempalta, and these are big, huge bales of hemp back there. Well, what they're going to do with that is they're going to make that into bedding, and that bedding is going to be used by the giraffes, who, I didn't know this, giraffes have sensitive skin. But the giraffes at the Wilder Institute in Calgary, and it doesn't surprise me this is happening in Canada, because they grow a lot of hemp and they have a lot of this material left over, because they grow mostly for grain in Canada, food product. Um, and so the stalk, which is where we get this herd, what we call shiv, um, comes, and that's just waste material to most of those. So it doesn't surprise me that someone else is finding great use for that product in Canada, which is animal bedding. They go on to say that it's 3 times as absorbent as wood chips, and of course, hemp grows in 5 to 6 months. Probably a tree to be used for any of that would be 10 years, maybe. A tree for paper, 7 to 10 years, I'm guessing, to get that pulp. No longer have to cut those trees down anymore for this bedding. And it's 99% dust free. 99% dust free. And so once again, they did the research. They're looking for animal bedding for these giraffes, who apparently, I should say, not obviously, apparently have sensitive skin, and the best material that they could come up with was hemp bedding. And again, we're seeing this in horses, reptiles. We're seeing more use with hemp herd, and this is the same material that you throw in the creep mix to build a house with. This hemp herd used for animal bedding, and again, and I remember I have to maybe go try to find the picture, but the bales of hemp bedding, it was like, for the one particular stable that I did the story about, they only had to use 4 bales of hemp bedding compared to like 10 or 12 bales of wood chip bedding. And so, once again, it's so sustainable. It's such a sustainable idea to replace a product that's normally made out of trees, grown for 10 years so they can be chopped up. Of course, I'm like, those 10 years, those trees are removing carbon, but we know for a fact that hemp removes more carbon per acre than trees do. And so once again, we're back to that. Why wouldn't we do this? Why wouldn't every tree farmer, the next time they cut down their trees, grow a hemp field in place of that?
Mm-hmm.
And every 6 months, they can make their money instead of having to wait 10 years to make their money. It's just absurd to think that there's wood being cut down right now for these purposes, and there's zero reason to do it. And it's less and less, but it still happens on a scale that's destroying the planet. Or is it at the very least not fair to the planet?
Mm-hmm.
And their argument is, well, we don't cut down old growth anymore, which isn't true in all of the world, because old growth is still getting cut down all over the world. They claim it's all new growth, farm wood.
Mm.
But it still seems like the timeline seems like a ridiculous idea. It takes so long. We've always seen it takes 4 to 6 acres of trees to make up 1 acre of hemp for paper. And once again, that's 1 acre and 6 months of hemp, where the paper pulp takes 7 to 10 years to get to a height to get enough wood pulp to make paper out of it. It's just backwards now. And again, we definitely went backwards there. Paper was invented using hemp.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we realized that we had we believed we had endless forests to cut down. Millions and millions of acres 100 years ago. And we just looked at it like, look at all these trees we can cut down to make paper from. Let's do it. We stopped growing or making paper out of industrial hemp just because we thought, well, you have all these trees to cut. Why not? Let's do it. It's awful. It was an awful idea then. It was a proven awful idea because the paper was inferior to hemp paper until they really had to figure the process out. And now we're just killing trees left and right. And we don't need to. We can make paper out of hemp. We should be making paper out of hemp all day long. Like this paper here, all day long.
That's right.
And so, do it. I say do it. All right, folks. This was another good show. This paper right here. It's at least 25% hemp, 75% post-consumer waste, which is the right direction to be going. Eventually, we need to we can make 100% hemp paper. Well, I mean, I like using post-consumer waste. I'm a recycler.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks, everybody, for watching the High Noon Hemp Show today, whether you're watching live now or you're watching later. We appreciate it. Turn somebody on to the High Noon Hemp Show that needs to learn about hemp if you can. You can watch it the Jedi Hemp channel any day of the week, anytime on YouTube. Anytime on YouTube. And remember, reduce, reuse, recycle. Make everything else out of hemp. Having temptations.
See y'all next week.